inside out, yeah?
And it says she caused her pain.
What was the reason for it? What was the reason for it?
Because she had disobeyed him by leaving the house.
So what? Well, why was that wrong?
It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. The point is, you shouldn't hit your wife.
Have you been to Arabia? Have you been to Arabia?
My friend, why are you trying to justify a man hitting a woman?
It's not a hit.
Why are you doing that?
It was a rub in the chest.
It said it could hurt her. Listen, I'm reading it to you. It says here, Wait, listen, I'm going to find it. He gave me a shove in the chest that hurt me.
Okay, so they shove in the chest.
So it ain't, that is it. It's hurting her. It's hurting Aisha.
Because she left the house, and there's, well, in Arabia, I've been there before. There's wolves.
My friend, I know you. I understand your reasoning, but it's just not going to be good enough, mate. It really ain't going to be good enough.
But you're lying.
I mean, what? Sorry.
You've been hitting the whole world.
I personally haven't hit anyone, but you know,
but you're lying and saying.
But I've just read it.
It's not a hit.
You say you're not
It's, I said shove.
It wasn't a
Yes,
strike.
but how do you shove someone that hurts them? How do you shove someone that hurts
Iran, they
them?
force you to wear the hijab.
It's not going to hurt me.
If you don't wear the hijab,
But I would have to do it with a lot of force, wouldn't I?
That's the Iranian Islamic.
But that's a warning. That's a warning.
Yeah, we call that assault in this country. You understand that? You could go to prison for that. You understand
You
that?
can't compare the morals of this country.
No, my friend. Is Muhammad the greatest example for you today?
Yes, exactly.
Muhammad hit, Muhammad hit Aisha. We don't know what age she was, but he shoved her and hurt her.
It's a shove. It's not a hit.
Guys. This is the example of this. Where? What are you saying?
It's pushing.
I think the Arabic is actually a lot more harsh than the English translation.
No, but
But it hurt her. It hurt
Did
her.
it push give her a heart attack?
No, it hurt her.
Did it give her a bruise?
We don't know. It just said it hurt her.
You didn't give her a bruise.
Did it? It never said that it hurt.
It did. It literally says hurt her.
Oh my
My mate, I hope you understand. Wait, there you go. I hope you understand the situation, yeah? There's wolves and there's lions, and at the same time, we're talking about a time where there's enemies of the Prophet who are looking to plot to kill him.
I understand that, but that's not an excuse.
Let me finish, yeah? And there were assassins that came to him at night, as you know the story.
Yeah.
So then, if his wife was leaving the house when he told him to stay at home, don't you think he would have done it out of worry? He done it out of worry because he was worried. Obviously, he could have been killed. You followed me in the dead of night.
But you're giving excuses for the behaviour of Muhammad shoving a woman. I'll say shoving that causes pain then. I can read the literal text. Well, I can read the English translation.
So if this is my son and I do that to him, am I wrong for that? Have I assaulted him?
No, because you haven't hurt him.
No, but what do you mean?
It says hurt her. We're going back in circles. I keep saying it, and you're like, get out of it.
How would you discipline? If you discipline your child, then you want to that.
Yeah, but my point is that he hurt Aisha. So when he said Muhammad never hit a woman, I can prove that definitively wrong.
What does hit mean?
Come on, mate. If I physically touch you and it caused you pain, I've hit you. It's as simple as that. No one, the law would see it that way. No. Go on.
You've been hitting everyone in the whole world.
Listen.
You've been everywhere with the gun. You've been killing.
Are you talking about? Okay.
You've been killing.
Well, I don't agree with.
You've been
Hello.
America. You've been
Jesus
Canada.
loves you. No matter what you think of me, you're always loved.
You've been hitting.
And Jesus will always be there for you. As someone who knows you, as someone who calls you to him, you're always loved.
You've been killing everywhere.
And you too as well, you're always loved. Jesus loves you. And I mean that sincerely because I want the best for you. As much as I argue about this stuff, I argue about it because it's so bad. I can't. All right. Well, my point is from my understanding, in the Arabic, it uses a harsher word than shove. If I'm wrong on that, I'll happily accept that I'm wrong. Yes, because Ibn Kathir gives criteria about how you hit women.
What was it?
You can't hit her face and you can't cause bruises.
The miswak. You know the example of the miswak?
Yeah, the stick. Yeah. I think that comes later, or much later. I think.
No, but that applies to the same verse.
Yeah, but it comes later. The idea of doing that comes later, I think.
That's the real understanding of the verse.
Yeah, but that came much later. I'm not interested in things that came later by Muslim jurists.
So did he do more than that?
Do you know that it came later?
Yes.
But did he do more
because
than that?
Muslim.
Did he go against his own laws when he hurt his wife?
Did he what, sorry?
Did he go against his own laws when he hurt his wife?
It would seem so.
What level was she hurt? What level was she hurt?
The only thing we know is that it caused her pain.
Yeah, but
there you are.
I mean, but if I give you a slight pinch, that causes you pain. If I was to hit you with a car, that causes you pain. You have to look at it was a shove.
It wasn't a.
Well, I don't know. That's how the English translate it.
You don't
know. Listen.
When you think about shoving, you think about he went like this and he.
No, well, the point is that we do not know.
I can shove him like this.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, but
I caused him pain.
But we
is that
don't.
abuse?
Yeah, but we. Well, if you just do
Yeah,
that to
we
people,
do,
yeah.
but here's the
mate,
thing,
if
here's
you
the
do it,
thing.
yeah.
When you,
If you, no. If you go, if I go up to you, yeah, in the park, and I literally just do that,
Yeah, but if
the
Yeah,
police
but
will
what
come. You
context?
understand
Me
that?
and him
But
know
what's the
each,
context?
me and him know each other.
What, listen.
Yeah.
If I put my life in danger, as
Yeah.
she had done by leaving the night late,
Yeah.
late at night,
Yeah, yeah,
where
she
there's
did,
enemies
yeah.
about lions and wolves.
That's what the
and
story
everything.
says. Yeah, yeah.
So if I was to push you, I'd be like,
Yeah.
why'd you do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I doing it out of compassion or am I doing it out of
Mate,
hate?
you see, again, you're changing your story.
I'm not changing,
It
I'm
started
changing.
off with Ali Dawah saying that Muhammad never hit a wife. I pointed out
He didn't hit the
authentic
wife, that's
hadith
not hitting.
where he shoved her and caused her pain.
That's not hitting.
Then all of a sudden you're like, well, yeah,
That's not hitting.
but
You have a
but
completely
it didn't
different
cause
understanding of what
pain.
That's
he
not
thinks.
hitting.
You think the prophet
listen,
came and
listen.
barged her out the way and
So in
made
that
her
case,
fall
then
because
yeah,
going
you
outside the
can, in the literal sense,
So,
hit
for
a woman
example,
as long as you don't
I
cause
think
her.
you're talking. I think you're
As long as you don't cause
You're
bruises.
play fighting with your
This is
wife
a shove.
and you accidentally hurt her.
Yeah.
Is that abuse?
No. Listen.
Exactly.
Listen.
So, you
What
have
I'm
to
saying
look
is,
at it in
you have
context.
to intentionally
You have to-
cause pain. Muhammad intentionally did something physical and caused her pain, as narrated by herself.
Context.
There's two things.
Guys, you're not going to convince me.
Mate,
I don't think I'm going to
There's
convince
The
There's
you.
two
Prophet
things.
had a race with Aisha. The Prophet had a race with Aisha. Now, when you run,
Yeah, I read
you
that.
feel pain.
Yeah.
Right? You
And he
feel
let her
pain.
win,
Does
right?
that mean that he,
Yeah, it's a nice
caused her
story.
pain? But
Yeah.
he caused the pain though, because he made her run. You could
Yeah, but,
easily
mate, there's a difference between running and physically insulting
But you're
someone.
saying-
Exactly.
Exactly, absolutely.
So you're saying
There's two things you
physical
can't
assault.
establish with that hadith, yeah?
Yeah.
The first one is how much pain was caused.
True,
Did she
we
have
don't know.
inflicted pain
It just
or
says
something?
it caused her
So you don't
pain.
know.
Pain.
Second of all,
Doing
there's the other
something
thing you haven't
incorrect
established.
doesn't
I'm not talking about us, but you haven't established.
Hey, go see, go see.
No, I forgot now.
Sorry.
He has established.
Listen, guys,
The first one, how much pain was caused.
Yeah, how much
I'll let you
one,
say
the
what you want
con-
to say, but I don't
the
think we're going to
context.
have an agreement on this.
You
Yeah?
haven't-
No. You haven't
Three
established the second one, sorry. The
Go on,
second one was,
go on.
was it done out of compassion or hate? And it was done out of compassion. Again, I told you she put her life in danger.
Wait, how do you know it wasn't from anger?
Huh?
Because he was angry.
But listen, can you be angry and compassionate at the same time? For example,
No,
if my
hence it
daughter-
would be one or the
if my
other.
daughter, if my daughter,
which
Yeah.
is dangerous.
wait,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
If your daughter was to go and let's say smoke weed or drink alcohol or something like that at a young age,
right.
and she put her life in danger
yeah,
and she done something
yeah,
wrong,
yeah.
you would be angry, but
Yeah.
you tell her off out of compassion.
And I would be wrong to hit her.
No, but
Or
you didn't
shove
hit
her.
to shove her,
Shove her then.
to grab her.
Well,
Yeah.
hit is a generic term for many different things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you haven't been able to
But a
establish,
shove
but
is-
you haven't
is like an
pinpointed
open
if it was
palm.
abuse.
Yeah.
or not. You haven't pinpointed. If I do that to you, I'd hate you. Apparently, to your definition.
If you cause pain.
Yeah,
But we don't know what pain it is. But we know that, we know that there
Sorry,
was
no
pain, yeah?
No,
If there-
yeah,
okay,
there was
so
pain.
okay, let's rephrase it then. Did Muhammad cause his wife's pain physically? Yes.
Yes, but,
There you are.
but here's the thing
There
you're
you
not
are.
established.
I think
You're
that's
saying
enough,
that-
guys.
Listen,
I think that's
wait,
enough.
Wait. You're
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
there you go, like you've pushed. Wait.
But is Muhammad the greatest moral example today? Then
yes.
it's permissible for you,
No.
for your wife, to cause her pain.
But listen.
There you are.
you're saying-
Thank you. Thank you for being honest. That's an honest
you're saying
answer.
thank you for being honest. Like you've established the amount of pain caused. If I pinch you, that's a small amount of pain. If I was to punch you in the face, that's a different amount of pain. So what
Yeah,
pain
yeah,
was
yeah.
caused? And are they the
I
same?
don't
Are they
need
the
to
same?
establish the severity
You
of
do.
it. I only need to know that it caused her pain to make the claim that Muhammad caused physical pain to his wife true, according to authentic hadith. That's all I'm going with.
No. But you're,
Yeah.
but you're taking it vaguely.
I
And you're taking
consider
it,
myself-
and
I
you're being
consider
arrogant,
myself a
French.
child.
I think I'm being honest. I think I'm just reading it as it is.
No, but you're
I think
reading
you're
it as it is,
adding
and you're not
additional
understanding
things.
the context.
Why are you adding to the sunnah?
Okay.
I don't.
How about this?
Sorry.
How about
yeah.
this? I've read that Joseph married Mariam or
Sure.
Mary
Sure.
at a very young age, and
Okay,
she was
fair.
underage.
Can you show me a verse in the Bible that tells
can I
me
say
that?
that Joseph was a pedophile?
That's a very good argument. Can you
But
show
can
me
I
a
say
single?
that-
Can you show me a single verse in the Bible that says
But
that?
historically, you know,
Yeah, no.
Is it going to reference
Just
it?
show me a verse, and I'll be happy to
Is
say
it
it.
going to reference his age?
No, the Bible isn't going to, because the Bible
so
doesn't talk
exactly,
about
but
it.
historically-
Right. So then, why are you quoting it as an authentic source?
That's fine. I can bring it up for you.
My point is that you're referring to sources we don't consider authentic, like the Proto-Evangelion of Thomas, and you're saying, that's totally authentic, and that's where you get that story from.
Okay,
But I'm only appealing to your authentic sources.
So-
If you told me this wasn't authentic, I wouldn't mention it.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you do agree that something we would argue now, child marriage existed back then. So if
Yes,
a
it
Christian
did,
monk-
and it was common, right?
yeah, it was
It
very
was.
common.
Okay, so when in Surah
You're
65, ayah 4, when it talks about those who have not yet menstruated,
Listen. Excuse me.
Yeah, sorry.
then that must be talking about the common scenario, which is child sex, right? Because that's a common scenario.
No, but you can't say child sex because
But it is though, right? That having sex with like.
puberty is when we hit adulthood. So meaning that I can get married to a man and a woman can get
I
married.
would actually disagree with that. I would say once you've completed puberty, not when you start puberty. There's a big difference there.
Well, here's the thing, obviously we say when you hit puberty. So when you hit hairs, that means you hit puberty and then you're in stage of manhood now. So you've started already, alright?
Yeah.
So that means you can get married, I can legally get married, and a woman can legally get married. And that's the morals and values that Muslims hold. And that was common at that time, and common a long while after it.
Yeah.
But now it's not common. What about the future?
Okay, that's fine. I agree with everything you've said.
It is
Go
common
on.
in Afghanistan. Is it?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The Bani,
It's common away from India.
What do you mean India?
Yeah,
It
no,
doesn't
it-
matter. Everywhere.
common
Everywhere
in
there's
India.
Muslims, it is common.
No, it's common in Hindu culture, in Hindu religion.
Okay.
In the Hindu religion, you get married before puberty.
but what-
and I
Are
can
you
prove
Hindu?
that.
Okay.
Are you going
No,
to
I read
Go
the
on,
text.
go on.
Yeah, Hinduism is. We're not talking about Hinduism.
You need to defend
We're happy to throw Hinduism under the
defending
bus.
it, I'm saying that
Yeah,
you're-
but-
Hindu
but-
text
But
say
you're saying that
puberty.
it's not common. It is. Where there is
No,
Islam,
I'm
it
sorry.
is common.
Sorry. In Western
It's only-
society,
yeah,
in
only
Western society,
yeah.
Western society,
That's why we're trying to educate people so we
Right.
don't
Thank
get
you.
to that level
As an
of the
Indian-
Islamic society.
as an
Because you're trying to
Indian-
make this an Islamic
As
an
society
Indian, you
where
want to give
child marriage
education.
is going to be okay, right?
well, that child, what's a child to you? Anyone under 16. A child to us is anyone that's prepubescent.
Prepubescent, okay.
Yeah.
So,
But in
why
India-
did Muhammad marry a prepubescent?
Well,
But
yeah, he
he's
did.
Indian.
Yeah, he did. And then no one else was allowed.
No.
And did he
Doesn't
consummate the
matter.
marriage?
Look,
Did he
he's the
consummate the
example.
marriage?
He
Look,
did at
he's
the age of
example.
9.
He didn't, at the
If
end
you
of
say
time,
I'm the example, but don't follow
Show me a single
that's
hadith
not
where
an
it says she
example.
reached puberty.
Yeah, she did puberty.
Show me any hadith.
I'm not, I don't know, I've memorized the hadith.
There are 2 hadiths which are mistranslations of the Arabic into English that suggest she did, but when you push on them, it's wrong. No, but I know people who do, and I talk to them, and they say that's not what it says in the Arabic. And you can find different versions of English translations that don't have that, so they've obviously changed it.
You're trying to Islamic.
From what I read in
Yeah.
Sirah, the Sirah next, I've read that Sheikh Panipuri in India said, he said that she had hit puberty. She
You
had-
accept the Bible.
That there are Islamic scholars who will be honest with you and say she didn't. Dr. Yasser Qadi will be honest with you and say,
Yeah,
no,
but I
she
don't, yeah, the card is
Well,
Even,
Wait,
even your,
it doesn't matter what he hears.
yeah,
The
but
point
he's-
is
but
like,
he's a reformist.
but he's an intelligent man with a PhD in
intelligent.
Islamic.
No, but he's rejected parts of the religion. Sorry. He's
Okay.
intelligent. Yeah.
Does he affirm the Sunnah?
Huh?
Does he affirm the
Yeah, but
Sunnah?
no, he's rejected.
Is the Aqidah, is that,
You
know,
can't
he say
reject-
the
okay,
Shahada,
if
he
I'm
say
a Christian,
Tawheed, he say, yeah.
If I'm a Christian and I reject one part of the Bible, I've rejected the whole Bible, right? I can't just cherry pick.
Yes, but
So you
obviously
say-
a Christian won't just say, I reject part of the Bible, they say they disagree about certain interpretations of things. Same in Islam, do you understand? So he might have a different interpretation of things, but my point is he's still a
he
Muslim,
rejects-
and
straight
he's
up
still...
rejects it. He straight up rejects it in videos where he rejects the,
Well, what does he
the
reject?
armies under the earth. He rejects it. The army that come out, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. He rejects it completely.
But is that a difference of opinion in Islam? Are you
No,
saying you can't be a
he
Muslim
rejects
if you don't think that?
No, if you reject one aspect of religion, it's kufr. It's an act of.
Well, then I think that in order to do that, you would have to affirm that Muhammad did indeed have sex with a 9-year-old called Aisha. And your sources don't.
Historically, yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you what. You sound sincere. Go look this up after this, yeah, and look for any hadith, Sunnah hadith, that says that she had achieved puberty. That's my little homework for you. That's all I want you to do, because you'll be surprised.
Okay, fine. The matter of fact is she hit puberty. If she was 9, if she was
She
9 or
eventually
19,
did. She eventually did.
And that's when they consummated the marriage.
No, because
Okay, fine. I'll search it. I'll better
Search
put
it up,
down.
my friend,
But the
yeah.
one thing we need to establish today is that you can't just come here and say I've proved it. He's hit. Muhammad
But
is
your
bad
Islamic
person
sources do
because
it for me.
Because he's hit his wife. When you know it's wrong. Because you haven't established.
yeah.
You haven't established how much pain was caused. You haven't established. And you can't
well,
prove to
well,
me
my
that
point
it
is
was
my
hit.
point is that there was pain.
No, you can't.
Muhammad, Ali Dawa said it was no pain.
I want to ask you guys a question.
Right.
How do you beat someone, and here's the condition:
Okay.
no pain,
Right.
no mark, and you can't hit the face?
And I refuted that with Sunnah Hadith.
Yeah.
They are. That's it. I mean, that's all I got to do, mate. I don't need to do anything else.
Again, we can't establish the level of pain.
That's true. I
Is
don't
it-
know
is
the
it
level
not-
of
no,
pain.
but is
I
it-
don't know the level of
is it
pain.
not
But there
justifiable?
was pain.
Is it not justifiable to grab your loved one in compassion or even in anger as well?
But is
and say,
Muhammad not the
"Listen,
greatest moral example? You remember, according to you, you're saying he's better than Jesus. You understand
Yes,
that?
yes,
Why
yes.
wouldn't, yeah.
He's an example. He's an example.
Jesus
Men
never
get
hit-
angry.
yeah.
Men get angry.
Jesus never hit people. Jesus
So
never took
listen.
sex slaves.
So you're saying that he's a sinner, so it's okay for him to do that?
Men get angry, right? Men get angry with their women. It's very natural. So now that's an example for you to follow.
Is it a sin?
That's for the sinners, man. You're giving the
Did Muhammad sin when he did this?
No,
Maybe
he
just a little sin.
You know, he was in the boundaries. He was completely in the boundaries. What's allowed?
Oh, sorry.
He didn't cause bruises.
He caused pain.
He didn't cause bruises. He didn't break bones. He didn't cause it to bleed.
Mate, yeah, the problem is the more you say that, the more it sounds. You ever seen those horrible things where men are like, they hit their wives and they do it in a way that they don't cause bruises so that she can't tell anyone. Yeah, but that's what you sound like. Like, you see,
But you even said it was in a rub. It was a rub. So how can that cause any break? Any
it's a
bones?
shove in the English translation. In the Arabic, I think it's
shove.
more. Good to see you, sister. God bless.
It's a shove. Yeah.
In the English translation, I'm pretty sure in the Arabic it's not shove.
Why did you do that?
I think it's strike in the
It's
English.
not
In the
darba.
Arabic.
No, it's not. Because
Well, I tell you what, we'll both check. We'll both go home and we'll check.
No, so why do you, I'll bring it up now.
I don't read Arabic, mate. I need to go to talk to Arabic people. Who know.
Condemn, violence against women.
I do condemn it.
Where?
Huh?
Where?
In the Quran, it clearly states that you can't break bones. You can't. What's
Oh,
it
so
called?
that's the
Can't
only.
bruises.
You can slap
can't
the
give
hell out of
bleed.
them.
No,
It's
you
okay.
can't. No, you can't.
As long as you don't cause
break bones,
bruises
right?
and you
Because
don't hit
that
their
verse he
face.
brought up, that verse he brought up.
Dude, that's a very weak argument.
Which is causing pain.
No. The verse he brought.
It
Listen,
says that Aisha felt pain.
There's no standard.
Yeah,
Your
but to what
bar
extent?
of standard is
You're
right
not
there, bro.
understanding it.
In India,
It's right there. It
in
should be
India,
up here.
in India, brother, in India.
down there.
Wait.
gotta move it up.
Mate. To be honest with you,
Oh, I can hit her, but not cause pain.
thank
Is
you.
that what you're saying?
You can only put-
Go ahead.
So now, in the Quran it says that yes, it's obligatory for you to put your hands on your woman, right, in some way. Right, now to what extent? We need to use the Prophet as an example of it, right? So when the Prophet did become angry at his wife, did he go lash out and slap her in the face? No, he didn't. He done the shoving motion that caused pain.
you know there are
And that
other
was enough.
hadith, right? This is just one hadith.
So what's the other hadith where he
Okay, so not where he does, but where he sanctions it. So for example, there's a hadith, and again it's Sahih, yeah, where was it Umar and Abu Bakr, the father of Aisha and the father of Hafsa, are in the same room as him, and they're telling stories about how when they remembered when they used to complain about money, because they're complaining about money to Muhammad, and then to make him laugh, they slap their daughters, and Muhammad laughs at her. That's in your hadith, and then he forbids them from seeing him. So it's a punishment.
Nobody caring about it.
Dude, my point is, why don't you just accept that this is the truth?
You
But
just
that's Sahih. It's a
just
Sahih
cherry-pick out
hadith.
of nowhere.
I read, mate.
You don't believe in
Do you want me to find it for you?
Comes
Do
to
you want me to
it.
find it for you? I'll
No,
find it
I
for you,
believe
man.
in Sahih. But
You
you do
find
it again. Now I can ask the question. First of all, I don't know the hadith. I'm not going to comment on it. But I
If
asked
you
the
don't
question.
know,
I don't know.
then
Like,
you need to look. Mate, you strike me as a good person.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
you strike me as a good person. You know full well you probably wouldn't do anything like this.
Huh?
You know you wouldn't do anything like this. You know you wouldn't.
I would do what is allowed for me to do.
Would you shove and smack or hit or cause pain to
You've been hitting
cause
everyone.
pain?
I would
Whole
cause
world.
pain to the
You've been killing
to
the
how much is
people
allowed.
every
So
day.
if whether
Would
it be
you
a
have
shoving-
sex
There's a
slaves?
measure
Would you have sex
of how
slaves?
much pain is
You,
allowed.
you are permitted in Islam to have sex slaves.
Recording as well.
I was.
Ask a woman.
Yeah, mate, she's
Why
been
don't
recording the
you
whole
bring a Muslim
time.
woman and let's ask her if it's okay to hit her.
Huh?
Let's ask a Muslim
Where
woman
is
if it's okay to hit her. Without causing pain.
To the extent of which is shown in the
Yeah.
Let's go on.
There's a Islamic woman. Ask her to come here.
It's a bit old.
Here we go. Do you want to read this? Allah's messenger, may peace be upon him, laughed and said, "They are around me, as you see, asking for extra money." Abu Bakr, Allah be pleased with him, they went up to Aisha, Aisha be pleased with her, and slapped her on the neck. And Umar stood up before Hafsa and slapped her, saying, "You ask Allah's messenger that which he does not possess." It then goes on and talks about how Muhammad says, "You're not allowed to see me for a
I'm
while."
not going to comment. Actually, I'm not.
The context is that they are asking Muhammad for money and Muhammad is unhappy.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm not going to comment on it because again, I don't.
Let me tell you what it is, and you can go
No,
home
but
and you
I
can.
know, but I'd rather verify it myself then.
Sahih Muslim 1478. There's a link.
1478. I'll come at you next week.
Go on. Okay.
I'll come at you next week. about
Right. My friend, if you look at this and you find what I'm saying is true, please consider this, because there's a religion that's much better than this that doesn't
I'm
teach
not done
that.
anything. If that's what was done, and even if it was done out of anger, it was done out of spite, then I'll accept
But
it.
then he's not your greatest prophet. He's not the greatest moral example to you because.
That's your thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, was it done out of joking? Was it done out of joking? Was it done out of laughter? As your friend over
But your conscience is not right with that. And you
Sahih
know
Muslim
that.
1478.
But you know,
What's it about?
So it's just.
Was it done out of a joke? Was it done out of laughter?
Who got slapped?
So Abu Bakr and Umar slapped their daughters in front of Muhammad, and Muhammad laughed. Yeah, so
You
that's-
wasn't there?
Yeah, he was there. Basically,
You wasn't there?
no, this is your story. It's not my story. I didn't make this up.
You know what's Abu Bakr? You know what's Abu Bakr had a relationship with those two women?
So Abu Bakr is the father of Aisha, and Umar is the father of Hafsa. So they slapped their daughters in front of Muhammad because Muhammad was feeling upset because they were asking him for money.
Alright,
So they thought to cheer him up, they would slap him. And it does say laugh. And it
Why
does
don't
say,
you bring me one incident of the Holy Prophet beating any of his wives, that he married like 9 wives?
come on. Like, I've got to bring up the hadith where it talks about how he caused Aisha pain.
Yeah, well, you
Because
shoved
I
her,
should pay.
Yeah.
You know, I know the story. I know the story.
Man.
Talking about,
Man.
I know the story is talking about basically when Hazrat Aisha went after the Holy Prophet, when he went there, he came back and he's saying he shouldn't be doubting the Holy Prophet.
Mate, there's a hadith where Muhammad gives a verdict to a man who beats his wife. And he doesn't, but she had green skin. I'm talking a different hadith. Mate, there's so many hadith. There's a hadith where there is a woman who has green skin, and Aisha says her skin is greener than her clothes, and she says, I have never seen any women suffer as much as the believing women. That's what Aisha says to Muhammad. And Muhammad doesn't rule in her favor, he rules in the man's favor.
No, he doesn't. You're faking this one.
Look at these things. Look. I know Muhammad did good things. He did good things, but he did bad things.
You are faking what you said now.
Look at this up. Okay, look at this up.
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "وَلَنْ يَضْرِبْ خِيَارَكُمْ." The best amongst you will never hate a woman. So don't just make allegations.
But he did.
One next door.
But your own stories, shove them. Or hit. Sorry, or
No, shove.
that's the English translation.
No, but there's another hadith, the same hadith that applied to another Sahabi and to other companion.
Look.
Shoving.
I'm confident the Arabic does not mean shove.
You're not Arabic.
I know, but I've talked to Arabic people.
So what's the verb? What's the pattern that was used when Muhammad touched Aisha? Was it daraba? No, it wasn't daraba. It wasn't.
But it caused her pain.
He said it hurt me.
That's what she says.
No, and then he said the reason why I slapped you in the chest is because you shouldn't be doubting God and His messenger.
Okay, fine. But that actual touch caused her pain.
Because of pain, yes.
So he did hit her then.
Yeah, he
To
did.
what
I mean,
extent?
I don't. If I hit you and I cause you pain, and you're like, fuck, that hurt, you know, you're gonna be.
No. If you're my friend now, yeah, if I went that to you, has that caused you pain? Sorry,
No,
but
no,
is that caused you pain?
no.
It's caused you a little bit of pain. But let's say if I
Not
pinch
enough
you
that
a little
not enough that I would say it caused me pain.
The whole incident, yeah.
It's obvious a friendly tap. But my point is there is a action you can do, and keep in mind the context tells us he's angry at her. She's done something wrong, and he's disciplining her.
Yes, exactly. That's what
So you have to think, what actually is the context of this, and what is he doing?
but the
So
issue
is he gonna like
no,
do
but
that?
You're looking at
No.
a black and white view. There's a context
I'm just
behind
reading it
First of all,
honestly.
It's husband and wife.
Yes.
Second of all, we don't live in the 21st century anymore.
But if that's the case, then you cannot say Muhammad is your greatest prophet you follow, because that was back
We don't
then.
live, sorry, forgive me. We don't live in the UK or Western country. This was not in the UK or Western country in the 21st century. Okay? I'm not saying that this is the best of values we have today, and these objective values that we should all accept, and democracy is the best thing that ever happened. No. That's what was allowed back then. Actually, do you know what? Even worse, the standard of how women were treated back then were even worse. The daughters were buried by the Arabs before Islam.
There
right?
are cases, yeah, absolutely agree.
So don't
Muhammad
you
forbade that.
agree
Agree.
This is a better
Yep.
alternative than that?
Well, Muhammad also did worse things, because in one way he did do good things. That's correct. But remember that his wife Khadija was a trader. She was a very successful financial trader, and she would have been a pagan. So to say that pagans were doing just all the bad things and Muslims are doing just all the good things isn't true, right? So what I'm saying is that there are things that Muhammad forbade, which it's good to have forbade, like the killing of orphans and the killing of female children.
The uncle of the Prophet was one of his most loved people. He cried for 3 days after
Which
he
one?
died.
Who?
The uncle Abu Talib.
Okay.
Right? So
Right.
he had cried
Yeah.
for days on end after
yeah.
his death
Yeah.
because he had done so much good. He protected him. He done
Yeah,
everything.
but my friend,
he was a Muslim.
mate, I can find you people that venerated Joseph Smith. Doesn't mean he's a prophet.
And the Holy Prophet agreed on it, and it was continued on Islam.
Or the
Oh,
Khalifa,
guys.
the one that died.
No, Help for is basically it's like charity. It's basically in order anyone like in debt or anyone like being wronged.
Go on. I'm going to wrap this up, by the way, guys, because I want to go on with other stuff. But if you want to say final words to me, then yeah.
Final words.
Yeah.
Final words is basically in Islam, woman is not to be mistreated. There's a lot of the woman in Islam is well protected in terms of Islamic literature and Islamic true teaching. By the guidance, we take the guidance as the Holy Prophet ﷺ character, and he never hit a woman in his life.
Okay, guys. I think you would on that because otherwise I'm just going to argue with you.
Obviously,
Yeah.
the verb used is very much different from hit or strike.
You see, you got two different sayings here. He's saying never at all, and you're saying yeah, but remember it's like this.
No, but again, but it's different. It's different. A strike is different from what
My friend,
that verb
shall we
was.
end this? Well, shake hands and say we'll go and we'll do our homework and we'll look into this and then we can know what the truth is.
Well, how about you look at the translation of the word?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go. When I go home, I'm gonna go and look at this to double check.
And next time you should sorry, brother. Realistically, you should have done that before you came to the bug. Start bringing up the argument.
Well, the issue is every time I do that, I can't come here and say I know Arabic. No matter what happens, if I tell you the Arabic means this, and I'm pretty sure it does mean something worse than shove, I can't tell you because I'm not an authority to tell you. And every Muslim will say he doesn't know Arabic and you shouldn't listen to him.
I'm an Arab.
Do you understand? So I have to constantly rely on Arabic speakers in order to know that. But there's not many Arabic speakers here who are Christian who are going to tell me honestly.
I'm an Arab, but
So-
I'm not denying what he said, and it hurt the actual slap on the chest. It hurt her. She said it hurt me. And
There you
that's
go.
what the issue said.
That's honest.
But the answer to it is not. He didn't hit her because it's a personal matter. He hit her because she doubted the
I agree with you. I think the story is clear why he did that. But my point is that therefore it is valid to say that Muhammad did indeed cause pain through a physical action to his wife.
Yeah, but it's not abusive.
Well, that's where we're different, mate. I don't think there's any case that you can do that apart from in self-defense. You know, I mean, unless you're going to tell me how I should.
You're applying the values of today. You are.
Because I think the values of today that I believe are the same that you believe. I think you probably agree. If you took this all away from Islam, didn't talk about Islam whatsoever, you talked about some guy who lived down the road who, you know, is like a white guy and you heard a story of him doing that to his wife, I'm willing to bet you would agree with me in saying, that's not right.
You have to differentiate at some point between being a husband and being a prophet of God. The way he smacked her, it was for that reason, because she doubted Allah and His Prophet. She went out because she.
Yeah, she goes out in the early hours of the night. Yeah.
One of her Islamic wives.
Yeah.
Then that's why.
Yeah. I've read the story of that.
Another thing, a question I have to bring to you as well, yeah?
Yeah.
We have to understand that Islam came down 1400 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what I'm saying, Islam is perfect. From my
It is
understanding,
perfect. And it's perfect today.
Huh? No. So now,
It's not perfect today.
Until the end of days.
now,
Okay, so it is perfect today.
yes. So the morals and values
Yeah.
of yesterday,
Yeah.
or, referring to thousands of years ago,
They're still valid today.
they're not the same as they were today. And
Right.
furthermore, they won't be the same tomorrow. So up to only 100
Right.
years ago or 200
Okay,
years ago,
yeah.
it was permissible for you to put your hands on a woman.
Okay,
But
right.
to what extent?
I
To what
understand
extent?
that,
And
yeah.
now Islam has come down to you with
Yeah.
that barrier.
Yeah, sure.
So you shouldn't again with Ibn Kathir. You even reference him back
Yeah,
there.
Ibn Kathir. I've read Ibn Kathir's
you
tafsir
read it, you read it,
on
yeah,
Surah
and that's-
65 ayah 4 and also
and
Surah
this works.
4 verse 34.
So
I
the
think is one.
toothbrush
Yeah.
that hits the skin.
Well,
Yeah,
that doesn't
it-
mention that particular stick. It just mentions the restrictions. It talks about you can't hit her in the
Yeah,
face
that's
and you
the
can't cause her
restrictions.
bruises. The idea that you can't cause her pain, or the idea that you use that miwak or whatever it's called, is a much later thing. Islam, in terms of its jurisprudence and its law and its fiqh, comes later. Do you understand? And that still happens today. You can find
where they
Muslim
derive
rulers
that
who are going to give fatwas about certain topics.
But
about
they derived
certain,
that
right.
from the Sunnah.
Yes, but they're adding their own.
And the Quran.
They're adding a consensus as well. So you have the Quran, you have the Sunnah, which is the Hadith and the Sirah, and then you'll have the consensus.
That's right, yeah.
And then depending on the school you belong to, depends if you accept analogical reasoning. Depending on what school you belong to. Is that right? Am I all right? Yeah, I hope so. Otherwise, I'll have to go check. But my point is that a lot of what Islam says about this matter is what Muslim scholars today are looking into, and they're saying, right, Quran says this, Sunnah says this, doesn't fully give us guidance about that issue, so we will, best as we can, give a verdict and a
Is
consensus.
there ikhtilaf or is there a difference of opinion on the matter?
There will be differences of opinion.
No, on the matter that
Yeah.
you should hit your wife and it's allowed for you to beat your wife.
So listen, my understanding is all schools will say that you can. It's a question of what is permissible, though. Do you understand? Is there a madhab that says you cannot in any circumstance lay a hand on your wife? Is there any one? Any of the four madhab?
The messenger done it.
Right, exactly. That's correct.
Yeah, but what
And that's what Islamic jurists say, because they look at the Quran and the Sunnah and they know full well that that's the case. And they look at
They're allowed to do that under severe circumstances, but the
Wait.
Holy Prophet said, the best amongst you will never do it. The best
Okay,
amongst you will
I know there is that hadith, he did say that. The issue is this. The Quran, which is the highest authority, says very clearly about when the circumstances come that you can do this. It says very clearly, if you fear rebellion, this is Surah 4, Ayah 34. If you fear rebellion, if you admonish her, you tell her she's wrong, you then forbid her from sleeping in your bed, and then finally, after you've done these two things, you then may beat, strike, slap, whatever you translate it as.
It's not open there like that. It's not an open term as you.
Well, it depends how you translate it, because many translations, like Sahih International, will have a very Western translation, But so another translation will have a more honest to the Arabic
We
translation.
have to go back to if there's,
I mean, it
if
is.
there's a tradition. We have to go back if there's a tradition
Yeah.
that was interpreted by the Holy Prophet, because we believe that the Holy Prophet is the only one that he can interpret the Quran, and it's the only right translation.
Okay.
Anyone else can make mistakes. Even the Sahaba, the companions of the Holy Prophet, they sometimes understood the verse in a way, and the Holy Prophet corrected
Are you Salafi or?
No, the companions at the time of the Holy Prophet, they sometimes interpret the Quran in a way they thought it's right, but then the Holy Prophet corrected it. And the righteous Holy Prophet as well.
Okay. Well, my point is, we have authentic hadith in the Sunnah. It talks about Muhammad causing Aisha pain, and about Abu Bakr and Umar causing Hafsa and Aisha pain in front of Muhammad.
Slapping them in the neck. It didn't say cause pain.
In the neck, yeah. It doesn't say that. But my point is, why would you slap someone in the neck? What's the point of it?
So I could do Taylor.
Yeah, but do you know how silly that would make it look? Like if I was like, oh, you're upsetting my friend, I'm going to.
Who do you think you're talking about? You're not talking about Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah.
You're talking about a father and a
Yes,
daughter.
absolutely. But the context makes it
There's a
clear.
relationship
No,
between
absolutely. The context makes it clear though that Muhammad is upset that they're asking him for money. And they're doing this as a form of discipline, and we know it's discipline because in the very next part of the same hadith, it talks about how Muhammad says, "Don't be with me for a while, for like a month or so."
He left the house for a month.
Yeah.
He left his house.
So we know it's in the context of discipline, and they're slapping them because they're his daughters. So he's like, "Yeah, I'll slap you."
It wasn't a real slap. It was just
It wasn't.
Well, it just says
If it made him
slapped
laugh,
on her
if it
neck.
made him laugh, do you think
And it made
was a
him laugh.
beating? Do you think it was a beating?
My point is that I think that you being sincere will not hold to the same things today that you would Muhammad did back then. And I think that's a problem for you because in Surah 33, Ayah 21, it says that Muhammad is the greatest example for you.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can hold to that sincerely.
He definitely is.
I can. Because look, again, here's the thing you're not understanding. You're thinking he was a normal human being. He came down to set examples to you.
But was he
So
not
now-
just a messenger?
He was just a messenger, yeah. So,
If he's not just, well, I mean, it's difficult because on the one hand, the Quran says, Muhammad says he is just a messenger, yeah? When he talks about the context of why he didn't give miracles. But then on the other hand, it makes it clear that he is to be venerated because according to Surah 33, Ayah 21, he is the greatest example for the Ummah.
Yes. Yeah. So he's an example for you. So
Right,
now,
but-
when a person is angry at his wife,
Yeah.
right, and he's been enraged by his wife, whatever she's done, does he go and lash out and punch her in the face and this and that, or does he follow
Right.
the greatest example?
Exactly.
Who
What
did
the Holy Prophet
indeed,
do in
who
this
did
incident?
indeed hurt his
Exactly,
wife,
brother.
you know?
What did the Holy Prophet do in this incident when his two wives,
for laughing.
like
My friend, it's not to be rude. It's to us, it's very hard to understand because we
Yeah,
would
but I
never.
don't laugh at anything that you say, don't I?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
respect
I
the same.
no, it's not out of harshness. No. Anyway, what are you saying? What are you saying?
No, I was just saying that the Holy Prophet, when his wives upset him,
Yeah.
he didn't beat them up. He didn't do anything. He just left the house for a whole month.
So again, though, but we've already talked about hadith where when Aisha did something that did upset him, he did shove her to cause her
But
pain.
I thought we passed this point because I explained why it happened. It wasn't
Yeah, but my point is, so don't say that he never did it then,
No, no,
because he did do
I
it.
never said
Yeah.
never. I said it in this incident, in this very one incident,
Yeah.
very rare occasion.
Yeah.
It happened once.
Okay,
and
that
it
doesn't
was-
matter how many times it
and it
happened,
was
but-
for the reason for.
Okay, yeah, there's a reason. Yeah, there's a
The
reason.
reason is.
But then it did happen. So if here's the example, if your wife ever upsets you and forbids you by leaving the house without your knowledge,
Right.
it's permissible for you to use physical force
It doesn't say
to
that
hurt
It
her.
doesn't say in Quran if your wife leaves the house without your permission, you are allowed
Okay.
to beat her. Nothing
But that's
said
what Aisha did, though, right?
No,
Okay,
no,
okay, you said it was
actually
bigger reason. Okay,
disobeying.
that's
What happened is,
All right.
how could I say, the Holy Prophet was in his house, right? And he was
Yeah.
told by the angel that he needs to go there to pray for some dead martyrs. So when he went there, what happened is she followed him.
That's it, she followed him, yeah,
She followed him thinking he's going
Yeah.
to.
And
visit
he
one of his
sees
wives.
her and yeah.
Then he came back home and he heard that like she was
And he
like,
asked her, "Were you the
panting and
shadow
stuff.
that I saw?" Yeah.
So we asked her, "What's wrong with you? Why you're panting? Were you the one following me?" She said, "Yes." He said, "You're doubting Allah and His Messenger," and he slapped her one slap on the chest. That's the story.
If you doubt Muhammad or Allah,
But
you,
then,
you can.
he doubts it because he said, be at home. It's safe for you to be at home. Again, as I told you, Arabia is not London. There are people who want to go kill the Prophet. Who will do
I
anything
understand.
to his life.
I get that.
There are wolves. There
But
are.
I definitely
baboons,
get the
there
context. The
are
context is not the same today. I totally get that. But the problem is though, is that if you acknowledge the context is not the same, then he cannot be your greatest moral example because the context is not the same. Do you understand the problem?
It's the same. Look, it's the same thing. But you can't say Jesus is your greatest example.
We do because he taught us in principle, not on rules. He didn't say you can beat your wife if you admonish her first, you abandon her from the bed, and if you still fear rebellion, then you can strike her. It doesn't say that to us.
Jesus came to correct the Israelites when they turned away from the teaching of their.
But Jesus didn't have sex slaves. Jesus didn't have a wife. Jesus didn't hit people.
Well, I believe
Jesus
he had a
didn't.
wife. He got married later on.
But that's not in our religion.
Well, that's the
not in
problem
our
as well
religion.
for you because he never taught you how to treat a wife. He wasn't an example. He never got married.
But my friend, our other scriptures, our Old Testament, and even verses in our New Testament tell us how a man should treat his wife. We know this. We don't.
there's a lot of
And
problems.
Jesus himself taught us how to love all. He loves all those who come to him. Yes.
Jesus didn't have a wife in Islam. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he said he would.
No, he
He
didn't.
said he would.
In Islam, it's
I don't know. He said he did.
No, in Islam,
I didn't think he did.
According to
in Islam, it's never mentioned that.
How you doing, brother?
Not too bad, you?
Are you? Yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah, I feel nice.
Go JC, no Bob today?
Huh?
JC, Bob?
JC ain't here. He's in Italy, and Bob is. He should be here, but. Don't know.
The Israel people, they don't believe in Jesus.
Well, guys, I'm going to wrap this up if that's all right. But it was a pleasure to talk to you. I appreciate the time. It was a very relaxed chat. I know it's a very difficult topic, but you were honest and sincere. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Oh, would you like to take this to learn about who we consider to be our greatest moral example? This is what the Christians believe.
Also, you know, in the Bible it says that a man should love his wife as Jesus loved the church, and he died for her. That's the example that we follow. You know, it said in the Bible it says that a man should love his wife as he loves his own
That's
body.
great. That's amazing.
I don't seem to get that it says that in your
An
religion.
equivalent teaching in Islam. The Holy Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best amongst you is the best to his wives, and I am the best to my wife.
It doesn't mean anything in fact. And the actions, but the actions don't show that.
What makes your religion better than his?
Because this is just words. The actions show that Muhammad didn't think that.
Excuse me, don't worry about that.
All right. Thank
So
you.
I want you to respect
All right, take care, guys.
I respect and I love Muslims.
I think I had a bottle of Coke, but I think it went missing.
Do you want me to get you one?
No, that's fine, mate. Don't worry about it. Hello, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I have to ask, are you Muslim or Christian or? No.
Sorry, mate, can I ask one thing?
All right, sure.
Is that your channel?
Yes, my channel is.
If you're gonna upload it, could you blur my face?
All right, I'll blow your face. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Because you asked me respectfully, I will. Oh, yeah. Do you want to be off camera? Just don't record me. Yeah, just end recording.